He's done it.
Mac! Tracker is live!
Great. Reel him in, DJ.
Pull him in.
Hey guys, what's happening? Niyat here with Film Comics Explained, and today we'll be taking a look at the 2018 sci-fi action flick, The Meg. In this video, we're going to discuss what happens in the film and some of the differences to the novel it's based on. Loosely based on the 1997 novel Meg, a novel of deep terror by Steve Alten and directed by Jon Turtletaub, who'd previously helmed the delightful Cool Runnings in both National Treasure films. The Meg features an international cast including the likes of Jason Statham, Bingbing, Ruby Rose, Cliff Curtis, Rainn Wilson, and Winston Chao, who star as a group of scientists and rescue divers contending with the discovery of a Megalodon shark that had been terrorising the open waters. There has been no shortage of shark-related films trying to capitalize on the success of Jaws, some that are good, like Deep Blue Sea, which I've covered in the past on this channel, and some that are as downright ludicrous as they are substandard. From the hilarious and deliberately bad Sharknado series of films, the Three-Headed Shark Attack movie, which itself was followed by Five-Headed Shark Attack and Six-Headed Shark Attack, to films like Avalanche Sharks. It's clear that with over 180 films released since Jaws, that the market has become saturated, fueled by our fear and fascination with the perfect predators. But unlike most of them, The Meg was based on a successful line of books written by Steve Alten, which were thrilling, had better characters, and more substance to them than the derivative go-to shark tales made as cash grabs. Not thrilling or scary enough to be considered horror, or funny enough to be labelled a comedy, the film sits in this weird threshold between B-grade horror and action blockbuster, akin to Jaws on CGI steroids. The Meg essentially revolves around the discovery of the Megalodon, an extinct species of shark that lived between 23 to 3.6 million years ago during the early Miocene to the Pliocene era, which is widely regarded as one of the largest and most powerful predators to have ever existed. Given the abundance of large prey, the influence that the evolution of regional endothermy would have had on the sharks, and the fact that they had no predators, the giants were believed to have weighed between 15 to 60 metric tons depending on age and gender, and were thought to have grown to a length of 34 to 56 feet, with the females generally being almost twice the size of their male counterparts. Given that the creatures were so large and that the likelihood of their re-emergence would have been impossible without us having seen them by now, the film does its best to explain where the species had been hiding and how they were able to escape their temperature-controlled prison below the depths. Beyond this, there isn't much logic or thought that goes into the film, with many of the actors and even the director admitting that The Meg was a silly action flick that didn't take itself too seriously.
John just wanted to say, look, I'm going to make a fun shark movie that's like the ultimate popcorn movie, a bit of fun that doesn't take itself too seriously, lots of laughs, lots of scares, and all the rest comes with it.
This really shows, and is perhaps the reason for its commercial success, along with its PG-13 rating, its appeal to foreign markets, and a trailer showing Jason Statham fighting the Meg in open waters like some kind of marine badass.
Hell yeah.
Considering its commercial success, I wouldn't blame you for thinking that this was a slam dunk project from pre-production to its release, but nothing could be further from the truth. The film has been mired in development hell since the book's publication in 1997, changing hands across 3 different production companies and a multitude of directors, most notably Guillermo del Toro and Eli Roth, before Jon took control of the project in 2016. Given that Jon's final product was a PG-13 popcorn action flick that was heaps of fun but lacked any dread or real substance, I can't help but wonder how dark the film could have been in the hands of both Del Toro and Roth. While the film, much like the series of novels, focuses on the adventures of Jonas Taylor, there are a number of differences between the character and the overall narrative in both mediums. In the novel, Taylor is a paleontologist and marine biologist that begins the story working for the United States Navy on a top-secret mission to confirm the existence of the Megalodon. In the film, however, he is merely a rescue diver hired to save a crew of a damaged nuclear submarine, where he inadvertently sees the hull of the ship being rammed by a giant creature. The novel also shows Jonas watching in horror as the Megalodon rose from the depths and attacked his crewmates, leaving him as the only survivor. Though he tries to claim he had personally discovered the existence of the creature they were after, he's labelled as a madman by the Navy, ultimately destroying his career. The film goes in a similar direction, with Jonas attempting to save the crew of the damaged vessel, but unlike the novel where he was the only survivor, he manages to save a handful of people and chooses to abandon 2 of his crewmates in the interest of saving everyone that had been rescued. While he does save the survivors from an explosion that destroyed the submarine, he's also labelled a madman by a survivor when he attempted to explain what he saw, with his musings being dismissed as the ramblings of a coward that buckled as a result of pressure-induced psychosis. It's from this point that the film begins to drastically differ from the source material. The book begins with Jonas helping his marine biologist friend, Maso Tanaka, to search for his remote-controlled submarine that had been lost in the Mariana Trench, and then focuses on both characters tracking and hunting the Megalodon he had seen at the start. The Navy also attempts to bring the creature down, but are unsuccessful in their numerous attempts, as are his ex-wife Maggie and her billionaire lover, who all lose their lives to the shark. The film, on the other hand, has many more characters not seen in the source material, with the exception of Laurie, who plays his ex-wife Maggie, and Morris, who plays the billionaire, though both are not in a relationship together. The character of Tanaka is also replaced by both Mac and Dr. Zhang in the film. Beginning as a rescue mission to find his ex-wife, who was trapped below the depths of the Mariana Trench, and progressing into a race against time to track the Megalodon that was using its evolutionary advantage to hunt its marine and human prey. The film is more of a group effort among the team to capture and destroy the Meg, though Taylor does lead the way, often putting himself at great risk in the pursuit of this goal. Picking up 5 years after the inciting incident, in the film we head to Manor 1, an underwater research facility 200 miles off the coast of China that was spearheaded by multi-billionaire Jack Morris and run by Dr. Minwei Zhang, along with his oceanographer daughter Su Yin and a number of other scientists and divers. Morris arrives to inspect the facility and is told that he'd come in time to oversee an experiment the team were conducting along the Mariana Trench, where they had hypothesized that there was more water and an undiscovered ecosystem hidden below the thermocline, explained as being a pocket of hydrogen sulfide that was long thought to have been the ocean floor. Taylor's ex-wife Laurie pilots a small submarine and drives past a cloud where they find marine flora and fauna that had never been seen before, confirming their theory. All seems to go well at first, but the team is soon attacked by a large unseen creature, later revealed to be a giant squid, stranding the research team below the thermocline, where Laurie screams that Taylor was right before they lose communication with Manor 1. Given that Taylor was renowned as being the only person to perform a rescue mission below 6,000 feet and survive, Mac and Dr. Zhang decide to recruit his help to save their friends and his ex-wife, much to the disagreement of Dr. Heller, the survivor of the submarine incident, and team member at Manor 1 that had diagnosed Taylor's claim of seeing a deep-sea monster as being the result of psychotic delusions. While Taylor agrees to help and heads to the research facility, along with Dr. Zhang and Mac, the damaged sub begins to lose oxygen, prompting Su Yin to attempt a rescue in their absence. But when she arrives, her vessel is attacked by the giant squid. Luckily for the oceanographer, moments before her vessel is crushed by the squid, a giant shark arrives and kills it before turning its attention on the 2 subs. Though Taylor arrives and begins evacuating the crew that was stranded, the shark returns, causing one of the crew members to sacrifice himself by shutting the hatch and turning on his lights to divert the creature's attention. With the destruction of the sub and the subsequent explosion that occurred, a temporary pocket of heat vents up through the thermocline, allowing the giant shark to travel up towards the greater ocean, where it began its rampage in the open seas. The group ultimately decide to track and poison the shark, with Taylor volunteering to enter the water and shoot a tracker onto its fin, before Su Yin poisoned it from within a cage. Though they both nearly die in their attempts, the plan ultimately works, and the crew begin celebrating with pictures of the Meg that was hoisted onto their boat. Jonas analyzes its teeth and notices that it was much smaller than the one they had encountered earlier, indicating that they had taken down a smaller male. Cutting their celebrations short, the huge Meg from earlier pops up and consumes the corpse of the shark along with the wall, the team's remote drone operator, capsizing the ship and severely injuring Zhang, with Heller also sacrificing his life to save Jax, who was on its warpath. Although the entire operation was a catastrophe that kept getting worse, Morris lies to the group by telling them they were going to shut down the facility and that he'd contacted the nearby countries for assistance, when he'd actually only contacted a group of mercenaries to hunt and kill the shark to save his ass from liability. This plan of course backfires, with Morris getting his comeuppance in the jaws of the mighty Megalodon. Given that the Meg and the other creatures below the thermocline lived in darkness, in the novel, the shark actually had bioluminescent properties and a sensitivity to light, leading to it only hunting at night. This is also how they were able to track the beast. While the film does show some of the flora and fauna featuring varying degrees of bioluminescence, the Meg itself doesn't have this characteristic. Though I understand their choice not to have a shark that glowed, I still think that not using the idea that it was sensitive to light was a missed opportunity that would have made the film more grounded in reality. This would have also enabled more of the Meg to be set at night, which would have added to the tension and sense of dread, but again, this was obviously not the type of film they were going for. With the enormous shark arriving at a popular beach in China, where it helped itself to a buffet of holidaying mammals, the crew arrive and distract it with whale sounds. While it does take the bait, Soo-Yin and Jonas fail in their attempt to destroy it with torpedoes, forcing Jonas to cut its underbelly with the sub before fighting the beast one-on-one and stabbing it in the eye. Luckily for Jonas, before the Meg consumed him, he gets eaten by a number of regular sharks that were drawn in by its blood. This again differs from the novel, where Jonas pilots a submersible down the Meg's throat and into its stomach, where he uses a fossilized Meg tooth to cut his way out, ironically killing the Meg with a Meg tooth. Jonas and his friend also capture its baby after her death and express their excitement at the prospect of studying the once thought to have been extinct creature in the flesh. Given the number of sequels to the novel that have been published and the box office success of the film, I can't help but assume that a sequel will be getting announced any time now. If this ends up being the case, I hope it doesn't take another 2 decades for us to see Jonas Taylor saving the world from the Meg once again. Well, that's all for today, folks. A big thanks to all of you guys who requested we explore the Meg.